Welcome to a special episode once again of the Mike Cook Guys Quarantine Sessions. Of course, I am your host, Mike Cook, aka leader of the Mike World Order, aka Mike Cook Baby, and so on and so on. But before I want to get started, I just want to say that condolences to a lot of the families that have been going through a lot of rough moments. I'm not going to mention a whole list of people that were recently harmed for what's going on. And it's just one of those things where it's 2020, but it feels like we're going ass backwards. And you keep wondering as a person of race, and I'm not saying just black race, but other races too. It feels like now we're all targets. You say or do the wrong thing, you're pretty much targeted for it by others. Black lives do matter. Don't get that twisted. I myself am a black man. Very cultured in many things. And I'm also one of those type of people, I wouldn't say I'm racist. I do have preferences. But I'm also someone who will not deal with you if I think you're full of shit and a waste of my time. Plain and simple. And you can be any race in my view. This episode is probably going to be my most controversial, as I've mentioned before, for the simple fact that, one, I'm going to have a woman on the show, and two, the topic of what's going on is very controversial too. So my friend that I've known since 6th grade, she recently did a post, offended a lot of people, but the way that she mentioned it wasn't out of racism, it's just comparing the situation. I've known this woman long enough to know she's not that type of person. And there's been conversations where I had to educate her on it because she didn't understand, because she never dealt with racism like that. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to give me a lot of shit for, putting her on the show and letting her speak her piece and whatnot. And you know what? I've been doing this podcasting for 7 years. I don't do it out of people's approval or acceptance. I do my podcast because it's my hobby and I love doing it. And it's been my soapbox to vent out about things in my life. So if tonight's episode offends you, I'm giving you a heads up now. Turn around, walk away, and close this episode. But if you do have an open mind and you do have, if you legit care about this movement that's going on, then I suggest you keep on letting this play. So without further ado, this interview was also pre-taped as well at the time. Enjoy. And like I said, hopefully listening to this episode will give you a different view on things. It's like I always say, ever since I started this Mike World Order faction or, brand, t-shirts, merch, all that, I always say at the end how we should all just be one world order. And I actually mean that. So without further ado, let's check out the episode. Alright, so we got Crystal here. Longtime friend of mine, as mentioned, since 6th grade. Say hello to all my Mike Cook guys and members of the Mike World Order.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, that sounded hot. Alrighty. You sure this isn't 1-900? Anywho. That's so wrong. That's so wrong of me. But anywho, tell us a little bit about yourself for people who aren't familiar with you, other than the obvious. You're my very first female guest on the show.
Yes, so exciting. So obviously, people know we go way back. We went to school together. So from South Carolina, I'm now living up in Ohio, working in the medical field. I'm a mom to a little boy, and
that's it.
Wow, am I supposed to okay, this is my favorite color,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
my favorite
you could have. I'm just giving you the, I'm just giving you the introduction where, people, know who you are. Like, they always seen the advertisements. They know how you look. Everyone kept blowing up my messages in my chat room saying, hey, man, this chick? Yeah. Have y'all dated? No.
You're like, nope, I found the picture online.
Yeah, I just went on Google and found a random photo, and here we are, folks.
No, that really is me.
Yeah, it's 100% her. There you go.
And no Photoshop, no
Yeah,
nothing.
no Photoshop,
That's
no
really
filter.
me.
I mean, it's in black and white, but that's the only thing different that's done to it. Yeah. So, recently, I guess the best way of saying it, you got caught into the crossfires of a situation.
Oh, my word, yes.
Yeah, and I figured the smart thing to do on this episode, let's just, get the elephant in the room and just mention it, get it out the way. Like I said, for those who've heard the episode earlier, I stand by this woman 100%. And for those who don't, and you might have a problem with this podcast, go ahead and click the X and exit out of YouTube. I don't care. That's just my point of view. But anywho,
well said.
it's just that's just how it is. I'm probably gonna get shit for it. I probably might get praised for it. That's just how podcasting is. But I'll let you pretty much start everything from the beginning, how it went.
Okay, so kind of with me, I do have a sense of humor, and obviously, those that know people in medical fields, our sense of humor can sometimes be kind of just a little bit, don't really want to say crude, but, usually when I post things, I try to be funny. Anybody that really knows me, there are 3 topics I really do stay away from. And it is just because people are allowed to, have their own beliefs. Religion, politics, I hate talking about them, start fights. And then racism. I didn't grow up with racism. I pick a person off of it if I like you, for how you are. If you're an ass, okay, I'm not going to like you. But if you are a great person, I'm going to like you. So, right now, we've all heard the references of this world feels like fucking Jumanji right now.
Yeah.
Because, it has been just one thing after another. COVID was freaking crazy. Then you had murder hornets that showed up. I swear to God, that's the mosquitoes in that movie. And so, to me, I had made a reference from that movie, not realizing it could be flipped into a racist comment. Mind you, I'm very open-minded. I saw it was offending people, and immediately I took it down. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Thankfully, my best friend reached out to me, and she's like, listen, this means that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I see why people are, being so mean, being so crude. But the thing was, when I tried to explain to them, listen, I honestly didn't know. I am very sorry. There were people that didn't believe it. There were people, no, we caught you. You knew what you meant. You said that. We got you. You're exposed. And it really was just, it became really bad.
Yeah, and I remember, I saw the comments as well, too, and, the first thing that came to mind was, some things never change. And I didn't think it was right. And I remember, like, after everything was said and done, when you hit me up and say, hey, I want to come on your show and just, explain my side of the story. And I saw the Jumanji memes, like, it was, everyone was doing them. But I think because...
Well, I think even now, like, there's a new one out that says, welcome to level 6, hurricane season. I think that was the latest one I have seen.
Yeah, I saw that one too. And it's crazy how people flip that over.
Yeah, and so, I mean, but like I said, once made aware, I can completely see where everybody came from. So if I would have known that's what it meant, never in a million years would I have ever posted anything like that. Ever. Because that's not who I am. And I don't know, if there are people out there that have ran into this situation. Now, I have also seen out there, too, there are people saying very mean and crude things. So, I do get where, people are lashing out. But at the same time, it's like, do remember, those people that lashed out at me, they knew me in school. And, even some of the people that knew me from work, I'm not like that. And, and a lot of people had said that. I didn't think she was like that. It's because I'm not.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, your best friend educated you on it. I educated you on it. Like, it was just one of those things. When you're not used to it, especially me, I didn't deal with racism until later on as I got older, because growing up military, you're around so many different races. And it used to always humor me in middle school, especially high school, because of my types of music I liked, my orientation in certain women. I used to always be told, why don't you just act black? And that, I was like, well, how do you do that? Because I'm not trying to be black. Yeah, exactly. I'm not trying to be any of these races. I'm just me. I'm just Mike. So that used to always bother me, even though I'd laugh it off like, oh, you guys are funny, And
I guess, I grew up in a military town. So I grew up with such a wide diversity of people. I never really looked at it, oh, you're Asian, you're Mexican, you're black. I just looked at it, hey, you're human. Oh, good, you have a good personality. You're cool. Oh, you're funny. Love funny people. That's great. Let's be friends. Now, if you're an ass, I don't want anything to do with you. I mean, honestly.
I mean, I think that's pretty much people are like that in general. Like, yeah. I admit it. I mean, you're funny as hell.
And I think humor is like the best medicine. And so, I mean, you never know what somebody's going through. And so, a lot of times, if I can make a person laugh, to me, that just makes me feel good. Because, somebody could be having the worst day, but if you put a smile on their face, it might brighten it up a little bit. Or if you sit down and talk and tell some jokes and some funny stories, it may, kind of just make them forget for a little bit how down they were feeling.
Right. And so it also, one thing that also, I respected the most about you, like, while most people did that situation, and here's the thing, you posted a meme based off of a movie scene. While there's people on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter that are posting memes of them reenacting what happened to the recent murdering of George Floyd. I think I said his name right.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, some of the things I have seen, my mouth has hit the floor. I am just like, wow, people. I guess, yes, you are entitled to freedom of speech, but I don't know. I mean, remember the human factor. We all have feelings. Don't be so cruel. I agree 100%. We have a huge problem in this country. And, it is racism and it needs to be fixed. We're all humans. It shouldn't be you're one color and, And
then it just always, that that always caught my attention. Then what? And not trying to go there, but it always used to crack me up when, the religious people would always say, we are all God's children. We should all love one another. And then I would purposely, me being a jerk, would pry them and say, so what are your thoughts on interracial dating? And then they tried to like play it off. But the one thing that caught my attention the most about your situation is how, one, you owned up to it, you went public about it, and you even apologized to people at your job. Most people won't even do that. They just go, stick with their guns and just go forward with it.
No, because I didn't mean it like in a mean way. And once I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, that really was like mean. Like if it was taken that way, oh my gosh. So, the first couple people that posted on it and said, hey, you're racist, or no, they didn't say you're racist, they just said racist as fuck, referring to what it was. I personally reached out to them after I deleted the post and said, listen, I am so sorry, I did not mean to offend anybody, that's why it has been taken down. And then it did, and so, let me back up before I go into my work. I immediately, I had seen like the outlash that was happening, so I had asked for, after a while, okay, I was like, people can, have their thoughts, their opinions, it's fine, speak freely. Then it started turning pretty bad, I was starting to have threats, people were going to go, well, we're going to go after your job, you work in healthcare, you shouldn't think like that, which I understand, healthcare, you have to be very open-minded, you need to treat everybody equal, which is so true. So I ended up just kind of shutting my Facebook down for, I'd have to say, probably a day and a half. And I really just took time to, let this sink in, let this, process. And I mean, it was a really hard 24 hours. There was a lot of tears. I had cried, went through a lot of emotions because it's like I'm trying to, apologize and be sincere. I really meant to, I did not mean to, what was posted there when, when I was telling people, listen, I'm being honest. I really did not know that's what it meant. Nobody cared. There were ones, no, you knew what you meant. And then, in the midst of this, it got passed around my work too. And so, one job, I had met with the staff there, so the HR, and there was one of the nurses that was very offended. I had actually requested for her to come upstairs to my meeting, and I personally apologized to her because, you know what, she is a great woman. I work with a lot of great people, and those people that I upset, I feel I do owe an apology because, these are great women and men, and I'm not about hurting people, and, if I upset you, I need to, just explain, listen, I didn't mean it in that manner, and, I am sorry that it did come out that way. But, no, I am very, very, very sorry. And, that nurse, she accepted my apology. I gave her a big hug at the end of it. The next shift we worked together, it was great.
And see, that's how it should be, And I'm sure some people are going to forgive but not forget, but at least they know that you took the time out to just say, hey, I was wrong, I fucked up, I didn't really know about it. And it's funny. And it's funny, like the first thing that came to mind, I remember mentioning the reference to you. So I know you're not a big wrestling fan. I get it. But there's Wikipedia. That's what Wikipedia is for, y'all. So I was on Twitter, and this one wrestler from Canada, Lance Storm, Canadian Hall of Famer, great wrestler. He mentioned on his Twitter page how he didn't know about, those levels of racism or, like you said, white privilege. He didn't know until one of the black wrestlers, which was MVP, he ended up educating him about it. And that's when he pretty much realized, okay, I understand. And the reason why he didn't, because, he came from a small town outside of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. There's not much racism in Canada. Like, I've recently been befriending a lot of people from the Canadian area, and they don't see racism. they just don't put up with people's bullshit, and that's how it should be in my point of view.
Well, I mean, you and I both know our high school, there was issues with racism.
Oh yeah,
there was a lot.
no question.
I didn't take part in it. Like I said, I mean, it was just, I don't know. I liked my friends because of who they were. And I'm always, open to meet new people and get to know people. But, I mean, I remember something, good God, was like some kind of thing with like the Confederate flag or something that we had. I don't even really remember all of it. But there was like a major protest or something, and it was insane.
Yeah, because it was, I remember it because a lot of the guys were like, it's based off of history, not racism and all that. And they're like, well, how come most of the black people aren't wearing those type of clothes? And I didn't see a lot of people with Black Panther stuff or Black Power stuff, but a few of the friends that I had, they wore Confederate flag shirts, and, I knew they weren't racist because I hung out with them, but they never disrespected me in that way. And anyone else who was Black, Asian, Hispanic, I mean, I got picked on, but nothing racist. It was just always because I was a big dude.
It was like the normal innocence of being picked on. Like, people get picked on for, I used to get picked on for, like, my maiden name. At one point, you're picked on for wearing glasses. Just normal childish things everybody kind of gets picked on and bullied for.
Yeah, I mean.
But now, like, this instance, and once I did open my Facebook back up, I did make an apology on there as well. I forgot to add that. I did own up to it. I apologize. And I did have people that reached out to me about that. I appreciate your apology. And so, in the kind of a way to flip it a little bit, I've reconnected with some people I went to high school with. But at the same time, this opened my eyes up to something I've never experienced in my life. I've never dealt with online bullying and online harassment. I've working in the medical field. You hear about, you see patients, or you've seen, things that have come in from where somebody's done, committed suicide over bullying. And, of course, we went to school really, social media was still kind of a new thing for us, so we didn't really deal with it to the extent that what kids do now. And I'm going to tell you, after this happened, I can completely see why people commit suicide over this, because you can't stop it. They might not necessarily see where, you might not be able to see who shares it, but there's that lovely thing called a screenshot, and people can share it that way. I even had people on my friends list that had screenshot this, shared it, and blocked me to where I could not see it. The only way I found out was from a mutual friend that this person had done this.
And it's crazy. The first thing that came to mind when you mentioned, people committing suicide because of online bullying was the recent passing of Hana Kimura, a Japanese pro wrestler. She recently committed suicide because of online bullying. And it's crazy. It had been going on for a number of months because there was like a photo of her that people saw and it was too late. Like, I guess she was doing like a video chat. And if you paid attention to her wrists, there was a few slight cut marks on it, which kind of makes sense because throughout her wrestling career, she would always wear like a glove or an arm sleeve on that arm. So it was one of those things nobody expected to happen. And she was only 22 years old when this happened. That just shows you right there the validation of how serious stuff like that is, online bullying, and how real it is.
It is. It's you can't stop it. And even for like something like this for me, where I honestly didn't. I was uneducated, and I'm gonna tell you what. If you really know me, I have like no freaking common sense at all at times. I could tell you some funny stories of things that I have done that is just like, wow, really? I think I have blonde roots somewhere in there. I'm a brunette, but that's where it's blonde. But there's just, there's no escaping it. Like I said, that 24 hours, I went into a really, really dark place. I already have issues with depression already, and that just immediately amplified it. Because I had read the comments that were so mean. And, the things that people had said to me was very hurtful.
Yeah, and it sucks as a friend that you had to go through that. But at least at the same time, it's good to have those friends that educate you on those type of situations. Because these days, you got friends that they'll pretty much watch you crash and burn in situations like that.
And I feel that's when you find out you're not my friend.
Yeah, you find out who your true friends are.
I had my best friend, and then I had you. You two both, really got me through all of this. I mean, there was a day, I know, my darkest, I really scared the shit out of my best friend. I think she was actually about to probably get in her car and drive up here. Because this just, threw me into such a bad place to where it's like, oh my gosh, I can't fix this. I'm trying my best, to make this right. And the first thing you do is you own up. Okay, yes, I made a mistake. Did I mean this? No, I didn't. If I'd have known that's what it meant, I would have never said it.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, that just once again shows the type of person you are.
And then the next thing is after you own up, you apologize to those that you've hurt. And so, I'm still actually in the process of I've got, more people I still need to apologize to actually this coming week at work. And so, hopefully, the apology will kind of help and maybe in time mend, and we can go back to how it was before this.
Yeah, and I think in time, yeah.
But I mean, also at the same time, too, I do know people's true colors are shining through during this time, and I do understand that.
No kidding.
I honestly, for my case, it was not a moment of my colors shining through. And those that really know me, no, you are not like that. It's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I was the same way too. Like, and I've known you for so long. It shocked me how people went at you about it until I was like, well, yeah, this could be the reason, but you didn't know.
No, I really did not know.
And I remember a lot of people, and I even had conversations with various friends, and they pretty much said, well, I don't see the problem with it because it's a trend that was going on the whole time. Everybody was doing it.
Exactly, and that's how I just kind of meant it to be was, I meant it to be just as like a funny thing where, just talking about this movie just kind of felt like, oh gosh, look, it's another part of this fucking movie really happening in the real world.
Exactly.
And,
but it was just bad timing.
It was really bad timing. But, even timing or not, if I'd have known the true definition to that word, no matter what time it was, I would have never used it. I would have never, ever posted that.
Yeah, and like I said, the fact that it just, with this situation going on, you have the pandemic going on, even though we're starting to open back up, then with this going on, and yeah, you are right about one thing. Everybody is showing their true colors and then some.
Mm-hmm. They are, which, I mean, usually that's what happens when your tensions are high, is you see truly how a person is. And, it's like working in the medical field. When we have new members that come on, you can slightly form an opinion, but it's not until you're really in a stressful situation like a code where you have a patient that's unresponsive and you need to bring them back that you can really form an opinion about how people are, because in stressful situations, like we said, your true colors show.
Yeah, because I mean, there's even moments where like I'd hit you up after you get off work and you're like, not now, long day, bad day, and most guys will probably.
There are some days, because it's like the one job I work in an ER, so it's very unpredictable, which I love. But then at the same time, there are days that it is very, very hard in there. I love my job very much, but it's like you take the good with the bad. Thankfully, there's more good than there is bad, but I've even explained to my son too. There might be days I'll come home and I might not want to talk as much. I might just want to kind of be alone, and it's just because I'm sad.
Yeah, because working in the medical field, I'm pretty sure you see a lot of ins and outs, and I can only imagine because you're in a smaller city, but I can only imagine how like the levels of anxiety and whatnot would be, say if you were somewhere like DC or Maryland or just in a major city in general. Like, I'm pretty sure you couldn't imagine like the levels of tension and anxiety you would go through on a regular.
I think, it's funny because I've always said, I would love to work like in a trauma center because, I run off of that adrenaline. When we get the call, hey, there's a code coming in, it's like just adrenaline kicks in, and it's like, okay, I want to do my part of my job as quick as I can. I want to jump up, start doing compressions, bring this patient back. And, it's, we've had times, yes, we've brought the patients back, and then you have those other times you don't. But it's that rush that I love. But, it's sometimes, too, I wonder, okay, these trauma centers, they see a lot. And it's, how would I be able to process it? Because, being in a smaller hospital, I've seen some things where I've, had a really hard time coping with what I've seen. And mainly it's, just things with kids or, people that are younger. I'm not saying, those that are older, because, it's all hard at the end of the day, but, it's kids that really make my job the hardest.
Well, I can imagine because you're also, a mom. And
yeah, you're a mom, and so that's kind of immediately what you kind of revert to. And so, those days, yes, I do go home, I hug my son tighter, and, it's just, you just thank God for what you have, and that, you do get to come home to your family.
I can definitely respect that, Being someone who doesn't have kids, but dated women that have kids, and you build that connection. Yeah, you kind of wonder those things.
Well, and it's, you have a niece that you love and adore very, very much.
Oh yeah, 2 of them.
It's like that right there. You can compare it to that love that you have for her.
Oh yeah, that's my little world right now.
See, when we can all tell. It's like she's adorable as can be, and you're all the time sharing pictures and chats that you're having with her.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like you should see my fridge right now. I got nothing but like her photos are flooded on my fridge, and I even made like a collage of all the photos that were taken when I was there, and I put it on like I had Walgreens make it, and yeah, that little kid.
As she gets older, it's going to turn into artwork.
Yeah, but at the same time,
like what I have on my fridge, I have a refrigerator where there's a picture of my son drew a bird.
A bird. A bird. What type of bird?
He was so proud of it. It's a toucan with a really long nose.
Oh wow.
He was so proud of it. And so I'm like, it's on my refrigerator, and I smile every time I see it.
And it's funny you mention that. Like, I can remember being like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old, and I'd have like a drawing, and my dad would keep it. Now at 32, he's got one of my championship belts in his room hanging. So yeah, I get it. The contrast, parents are gonna hold on to everything.
Well, the best part was, he brings me this dog, and he's like, "Look, Mom, what kind of bird is this?" Immediately, I'm looking. I'm like, "Toucan's the only thing I can guess." Well, how did you know? Well, it's got a really long beak on it.
Yeah, that's the interesting. It's one of those things you're like, kids can draw the darndest things. I don't know.
And it's colorful. That was like the other thing.
Well, who was he trying to draw? The guy on the Fruit Loops box?
I think so, to be honest.
That means we're low on cereal, Mom. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Well, buddy, that's not one of my favorite ones. You'll always have Cocoa Rice Krispies on here.
Cocoa Rice.
I love any chocolate cereal. Cocoa Puffs.
So now you're picking on me because of this keto diet. But, because I can't eat cereal. It's got carbs in it, man. Like,
yeah, it's not good for you.
But it tastes so good. Like all the foods I can't eat. It's like so good. Like, even though there's moments I'll go on what I call my carb vacation, but when I'm off of it and I'm back cycling on keto, man, I miss rice. I miss my potatoes. I miss my ramen. Like, I got a rice cooker that's collecting dust because I'm not eating rice like I used to.
And that would be my hard part, and especially for you. Oh my word, because you're always making Asian cuisines and stuff, and that's rice and noodles.
Yes. So when you get rid of rice and noodles, what do you have? So you have to learn to improvise.
You better grind up some cauliflower and make you some cauliflower rice. I hope it tastes good.
I can't do cauliflower rice, but I can make some good ass cauliflower mashed potatoes.
Well, see.
Yeah, you just get some cauliflower and then boil it, then you add some like butter, garlic, and Parmesan, and there you go. You would never know the difference. But sometimes
I actually prefer cauliflower like mash instead of actual like mashed potatoes.
Me too, because I don't like mashed potatoes. I mean, I'm more of a...
Finally, somebody I have met that does not like mashed potatoes. Do you know how many people look at me like, what is wrong with you?
Never liked it. That's because I'm weird. I am so weird and picky. I don't like mashed potatoes. Never like mac and cheese. Don't do ham.
No,
don't
I
do
like
turkey.
mac and cheese.
I can't. I just don't do the mac and cheese. Like, I'm pretty... You know what? After me mentioning this, I'm probably going to get more heat for not liking mac and cheese than doing this episode, unfortunately.
No, as long as you like bacon, you're good. If you say you don't like bacon...
I gave up pork. I don't eat beef. I eat bacon.
But just because you gave up pork
doesn't
mean you don't like bacon.
Here's the thing, though. So I don't like pork bacon. But recently, a few months ago, at a restaurant up the road from the apartment, I was introduced to beef bacon. Because this restaurant I go to is also halal, which they don't do pork. But, when I had beef bacon, there's no other bacon you want. If you're a steak lover or a burger person and you try beef bacon, you say buy pork bacon. You'll never want pork bacon.
I might actually have to try it then. I've never tried, beef bacon before, but man...
I'm telling you. And I get center cut beef bacon. You would never, ever want regular bacon again. I promise you that. It's just better. If you like beef jerky, you can handle beef bacon.
See, I love beef jerky. Yep, that's why I was like, I'm not going to sit there and knock it. Now, if you were like, I'm a turkey bacon kind of guy,
nah, I don't like turkey bacon.
I'm not going to turkey bacon, but it's just not for me. I'm not a turkey person.
I never like turkey. Like, Thanksgiving, I know I'm not getting invites. We're going to have turkey. I'm not going to be there. Like, Mom would have to, cook chicken or a Cornish hen for me. There's a lot of foods. The older I get, the less food I spark interest in. It's weird. It's so weird. I feel like each year I reach a new level of being picky.
Like when you're a kid, here, I'll try this. And now it's like, no, I don't like that. Not eating that.
Yeah, like
and
even...
the cool part is you don't have anybody telling you, you need to eat that if you get dessert. Well, guess what? I'm an adult. If I don't want this, I can skip right to dessert and eat it now.
Yeah, but the crazy part is, to me, dessert is either a keto bar or keto ice cream. Like, you know how... Okay, no lie. The ice cream man passed by today. Do you know how much I want to go to the ice cream man? I'm looking at all these little kids. I just want to mush the kids out the way just so I can get to the ice cream man. Because I used to do that the past few summers. Like, as soon as the ice cream man shows up, I'm throwing my shorts on, my flip-flops, and I'm running down from the 4th floor.
Running out the door.
Yes, because... And I'm on the 4th floor, so you're having this visual of this big dude going down the stairs at record time just to, get some ice cream. I'm out racing the kids. Like, I don't even feel like walking down the stairs some days. Like, man, I'm not the ice cream man hits.
You hear it? It's like you're gone.
Yes, and I hear it at the top of the floor. As soon as I boom, I am like...
Then after you get it, you're like, okay, now I'll just take my sweet time. I'll walk as slow as I can and enjoy my ice cream.
Yes, like there was one time, like I made like a little bit of extra money at my part-time job, and there was only like 3 kids out there, and I'm like, y'all don't want no ice cream? They're like, our parents don't have... I was like, look, get whatever these kids want, give it to them. Like I gave the guy like a $20 bill and said, just get these kids what they want.
That is awesome.
Yeah, man, because
pretty sure they all came home. Where'd you get that from?
I doubt it, because those kids, at the time, those kids were like playing around in the area, so I'm pretty sure they chucked that ice cream
They probably
before.
had that gone before they went home.
Oh yeah. And I wouldn't have cared if their parents said anything, because, don't deprive your kids out of a good summer. Like, that's one thing that I look forward to this summer too in my neighborhood. We have the ice cream man. We have the Mexican shaved ice guy. We got the taco trucks that come during the evening. Like, how do you expect me to drop weight when you got all this good around me?
We have all this good food. Well, because you know why it sells. I'm pretty sure if there was a vegetable truck going by, it wouldn't have very many sales.
Actually, we don't have a vegetable truck, but we do have a guy that does elotes, which is like the corn with the mayo and the chilies on it. They got that. And there's one guy up the road, he'll make fresh salsa, and it's better than the restaurant. Like, he'll do it by hand right in front of you. And he just, it's like almost 2 a.m, and now I want me some salsa and chips.
Right? It's
And
like fake. Now I'm just so hungry. I'm like going to go dig in the freezer and be like, okay, what ice cream bars do we have in here? I think I have some Outshine bars.
Yeah, and see, like the keto ice cream I use, it's only like 3 grams of carbs. And that's just the whole pint. So I don't feel guilty sitting watching Netflix and eating the whole thing. Like,
it's one of those things you get to the bottom and be like, okay, I'm not going to cry. That's who the hell ate my damn ice cream.
and it's like, oh, it's just me. Like, I couldn't blame Mini Big Mike, the action figure, that, hey, you ate my ice cream.
This thing was full when I sat down.
Yeah, it's like, I've noticed
it must have evaporated or something.
Yeah, like, maybe it's the freezer. Like, I need to call these people. Like, it's just crazy, man. Like, and then at the same time, because of it, I do enjoy the results, because I'm back to the weight I was when I first moved to Virginia. Like, I can't believe in 4 years I gained 64 pounds.
Well, that, and, you know, when you start losing the weight, I mean, like I said before, you know, I at one point actually myself, I used to weigh over 200 pounds. People look at my pictures and they're like, no way. Yes.
I was like that too when you showed me. I was like, ain't no way. You photoshopped them.
I seriously, I have pictures that show, that have proof that, you know, and it wasn't just baby weight. My kid was a toddler. You can't blame it on a baby weight when your kid's a toddler. And, you know, I started losing weight, and I wasn't seeing it myself. You know, I'm like, man, I don't feel like I'm losing weight. And, you know, it wasn't until probably almost 7 months of working out that I had a picture taken, and I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, there's really results here. And I noticed, you start feeling better about yourself. You start feeling like you have more energy to do things. You're not as tired.
And that's the crazy part with keto. Like, I've lost all this weight, but I barely worked out. Like, when I go to the gym, it'd be just to sit in the hot tub and chill.
You're like, I'm going to watch all you people work out.
Yeah.
But don't you feel better, like you have more energy losing that much weight?
Well, anybody can lose that much weight and still not have energy. I think it's really a prime example of we are what we eat. And,
that's the truth. If you're just putting crap into your body.
I wish I would have known about this shit when I was weightlifting, that's for sure. Like, seriously, my body probably would have responded different, because, like, there were points where I had trouble getting out of bed, I was hurting, like, I had to wear knee wraps just to do certain things. I mean, I still do on and off because I got a Baker cyst in my left knee, but it used to be horrible. Like, I used to not be motivated, not feel, but as soon as I started doing keto and before hitting ketosis, you had them sugar withdrawals. Yo, it's like a dude on its menstrual cycle. I get snappy.
And they always say that sugar is actually just as addicting as, like, your hardcore drugs.
It is.
Like, I mean, it is really, really hard it takes a lot of willpower to actually cut sugar out. You do go through severe mood swings and just withdrawal process, cutting sugar out alone, but it's amazing that once you're used to not having it, when you have something that's sweet, it doesn't taste good.
It really doesn't. It doesn't taste right. It's like...
It's like, that doesn't taste good. That's just too sweet for me.
Yeah, like me, I keep like a fridge full of Powerade Zeros. Anyone who's been in my apartment, they know that. But there was one time I tasted a regular Powerade.
They're gross.
I didn't like it. And then if you look at the labels behind it, the difference between Powerade and Powerade Zero is like night and day. Powerade Zero, you only see like 6-7 things. Regular Powerade, it's like the whole page. I was like, geez.
And like, when I did my weight loss, the big thing, I didn't like to drink my calories because I did kind of watch calories. And so I started, when I drank soda, it would be diet soda. Now I can't drink a regular soda. It is so disgusting to me. It's too sweet. My big thing is like the Powerade Zeros. I love any of those kind of drinks, but it has to be the zero, because if I get regular, it's too much for me. And there are times, my son will be like, hey, Mom, you got to try this drink. And I try it. He's like, did you like it? And I said, Liam, it just tastes nasty. It's too sweet for me.
Mm-hmm. Like, I can't do it. And, like, there's certain things, like, I miss apple pie. I miss my mom's homemade pineapple upside down cake. Like, that's my go-to. Until I found out there were, like, keto-friendly protein shakes that are flavored like that, but it also contains MCT oil, which I've learned, hell no, I'm not taking anything with MCT oil in it, because it will have you shitting like a geese. Not doing it. Not doing it. No. I already had to deal with the keto flu. No, I'm good.
Oh, goodness.
It's like I'm on my deathbed.
And I guess especially during this time, that's bad, because can you find toilet paper in your yet? I know we're starting to, but...
Man, I realized that we started to come back to normal when I saw toilet paper and paper towels in the stores. Once I saw those, I was like, yes, we're back. We're back.
Like, okay, we're safe.
It's like, thank you. So, yeah, we been had it. But then again, I go to BJ's Wholesale, which is kind of like a Sam's Club. So that's where I go to get my paper towels and whatnot. But, since I'm home more often, I've been using it more, so I had to restock.
It was like me. I get mine from, like, Sam's Club, like toilet paper and paper towels. And, there was one day I found it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good for, like, the next 9 months.
Yeah, because it's just me, and they're like, well, you do know you're only supposed to take 1 and 1, right? I said, yeah, it's just me. You don't have no family or anything? No, sir. I'm all alone.
I say it's like, it's me and my son here, and most of the time I'm at work, so it's like, yeah.
It's like,
So it would last me a while.
it's like, what can you do? Like, you know, it's like that Beavis and Butthead show when he's cornholio. It's like, do you have deep beep or my bunghole? It's like, I got plenty, dude. I got plenty. Like,
Now, I guess, like, the one thing I heard that was, like, meat prices have gone through the roof with all of this now that...
beef, not chicken. Because I recently bought, like, packs of chicken at Food Lion. I was paying, like, $3.50 a pack. And it's, like, 3 or 4 chicken breasts a pack. So my freezer is packed full of chicken breasts. So it's technically it's beef. Beef has went up, chicken has went down. Because everyone, they want that steak. I hate to say it, nobody cares about chicken.
That is true. I mean, it's like, I like chicken. I mean, to me, I don't have a problem with it. I actually probably eat more chicken than I do beef in a week.
Same here, but...
Except for lately, I've been really bad and have been eating out left and right. I don't know if it's because, oh, look, restaurants open back up. Let's go get food.
Not for me. I've been doing a lot of cooking.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, I tried to start this one group, and I'm, like, completely slipping where I was doing well, posting stuff, and now I'm just like, I don't think I can really post Chipotle on there because I didn't make it.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm the only one who's, like, posting or doing videos, like, hey, guys, this is what I cooked. Check it out. What y'all
I know,
think?
I'm like, oh, I'm going to post stuff, and I'll just, like, dinner time comes, it's like, hey, what do you want for dinner? I don't know, let's go out.
But then, you know, for me, it's just, I've been usually cooking the same thing, because ever since I bought this wok, everything I've been doing has been with that wok. I can cook a steak on there, and it's, like, better than any cast iron skillet ever.
I'll have to keep that in mind, because I do have a wok.
No, you got to get a good wok. Like, the wok you got, no. The one I got,
How do you know what kind of wok I have?
I can tell you probably bought it from, like, TJ Maxx or Marshalls. I get the gusto. I get the ones in the actual Korean marts where they look at you like, "안녕하세요." And that's a good wok. And I'm like, thank you. And no, I'm not trying to pick on the Koreans, but that's literally how they come at me, because living in Northern Virginia, I've already been asked if I'm Hispanic or part Filipino or part Korean. I mean, yeah, after...
Do you respond, I'm a human?
I mean, after a couple of drinks, my face turned red and my eyes closed up a bit, and, you know, semi-fluent in Japanese. So as soon as they hear that, then they talk to me like they act like a schoolgirl when they hear it. They either, two reactions they have. They either act like they're going to have a heart attack, or they voice changes where they sound like an excited schoolgirl. And I love that shit. Like, when I said it's epic, it is epic when they do that. Like, I don't know if they're still in Virginia, but there was this Japanese couple, they would always buy me, like, they'd always bring me, like, trinkets and souvenirs and candy. Like, they keep bringing me this one rice cracker because they said I look like Ampan Man. And then I look at the cartoon and it's this superhero, but he's got like a round brown face and he's got a smile on him and a round nose, and I'm like, so this is supposed to be me, huh? Very funny. They'd be like, do the Ampan Man pose. I'm like, I'm not doing it. But my kid love Ampan Man, but I'm not Ampan. No.
Like, find somebody else. That's not me.
And then they get the disappointed look, then I end up doing the pose, and they're like, oh, sugoi Ampan Man. And I'm like, I done sold out. I was like, I just need to, I was like, I'm doing
and
it.
Now you've just told everybody. So now how many people are going to be asking, hey, can you do that?
It's either that or they also said ever since I grew up my goatee, and it was blonde, now it's back black and gray. There's this one guy, and I'll show you a photo of him, and I get told this all the time. Anybody tell you look like a bigger version of Keiji Muto? I was like, no. It was like, yeah, you look like a big version of him. You wouldn't think by any chance he could be your dad, right? I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Like, My buddy in Connecticut, he says it all the time, especially when putting on the Mike World Order T-shirt. They're like, yeah, you could look like him. You just got a deeper tan than he does. I'm like, you know what? Fine. It's like, this ain't cool, y'all. Because they asked me that too. Do his pose. I want you to do his pose. And I'm like, okay, I'll do his pose. Sure. I'm doing it for the sale, y'all. I'm doing it for the sale.
Oh, goodness.
It's crazy how topics can go from owning up to a situation to changing how we eat to me being compared to all these things.
Yeah, but I feel like, I don't know, that's how I talk, period. I am, like, all over the place when I talk. You know, I'll talk about one thing and then just, something pops in your head and then, you start off on this next part and then something else comes up and then you end up on a different area.
Yeah,
I think if we sat here and we talked about that for the whole show, people might get kind of bored. They're like, okay, like, you said your point. Can we please move on to something else?
I like cheese.
You like shoes?
No, I like cheese.
I can't really have that, so.
I mean, first off, I like shoes. I just don't like the price I had to pay for shoes because I'm a size 16. Like, the last pair of shoes I got were from my buddy Lil Daryl. And the funny part is I call him Lil Daryl, but he's like 6'7", and yeah. It's that reverse psychology, y'all. It works. Yeah, what you gonna do?
Oh, goodness.
I'm telling you, it's yeah. But that sucks, though. You can't eat cheese, man. That means pizza's not your best friend.
I can eat it. It's just I'm lactose intolerant, so I pay for it. But, yeah, like, I love pizza. Like we discussed earlier, I said I love mac and cheese. I do. It just depends, okay, how much do I want to pay for this? Even ice cream. There are times, like, I think even yesterday, I have a tub of ice cream here for my son, and I pulled it out, and I said, like, 3 spoonfuls, and my son is just looking at me. What are you doing, Mom? I'm like, I really want a couple bites of ice cream.
Well, at least I know what a good prank to pull on you. That'd be so dirty. Like, I made this dish for you, right? I made some homemade spring rolls. Little did you know I put a bunch of Parmesan in it. What did you put in there?
Yeah, just depending what happens. There are sometimes that I'm okay. Like, I've had ice cream where it's like, okay, this isn't horrible. And then there are other times I've had it and I am just absolutely sick to my stomach. So it just varies. But, we can get off of this subject because this one's kind of a weird one.
I mean, if I ever want to pull a prank on you, I know to use dairy products.
Okay, but, with how bitchy I can be, there's a lot of different ways to play pranks on me, Like the tub story I told you. You remember that one.
Yeah, but our viewers haven't, so, yeah.
What'd you say?
But our viewers don't know about it, though.
Okay, so.
Uh-oh. I was about to say, guys, hold on.
I'll share the story.
Hold on. Guys who are listening, what you're about to hear, do not be surprised.
No, because I have lots of stories like this. Believe me.
Oh, don't worry.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
At the rate you're going, you might be a returning guest, so please continue with the top thing, because even when you told me it, I looked at you like, really? What the hell, man?
You also laughed your ass off, too.
Exactly. That's why I was like, what the hell, man?
Okay, so I recently renovated my bathroom, and we had done it, like, we didn't hire anybody, we had redone it ourselves. So, this house was an older style house. The bathroom looked like it came from the 70s. So there was this hideous pink tub in there. I tried to paint the tub. I learned I really suck at doing that. In time, the paint kind of chipped off, and it just looked like shit. So, due to the bathroom flooding, it had, it was just older style bathroom, older house. It kind of needed to be updated anyways. So we got it, go out and buy this new tub. I'm like all excited. I have this big, deep soaker tub picked out. I'm tired from, just doing the demo on this bathroom and trying to get everything back to normal. So we open up this tub, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, why is it blue? I am so dead serious. Thankfully that day, my ex was not in the mood to kind of toy with me because he probably easily could have. Thankfully he told me it's not blue, it's just the protective coating that's on it. It peels right off. I go, oh, okay. And I was like, man, you could have fucked with me so hard. And he was like, what, I should have just said, what, you didn't like your pink tub, so we got you a blue tub. I said, I would have believed you. So, there are lots of moments like this with me.
Oh, my God. Oh, shit. Yeah. Yeah. Remind me not to call you if I need any help with my bathroom.
Well, like I said, it was like I picked up a nice display model. I was like all excited. I got this big deep tub. I could take a bubble bath. I was like, what the hell is it blue for? Like, I swore I picked out white. Did this thing come with different color options?
You sure you're not blonde?
I swear I think I really am. My parents swore up and down, too, because, man, I did some stupid shit back in the day, too. Those might have to be saved for another show.
Hey, I'm down for it. I'm definitely down for bringing you back on the show. But as we're getting closer to the end, is there anything you want to mention? Like, how can people reach you on social media if they want to reach out, or that's up to you?
Yeah, my Instagram's open. Facebook, I kind of keep that one a little bit more private, but definitely Instagram. Like, my Instagram's actually completely open.
Well, for the viewers, what would that tag be? For anyone new who wants to add you and say, hey, you were great on the episode, when you're coming back, blah, blah, blah. Impeach might click off his show.
What's funny is I actually have to look up what my username is.
Well, luckily for you, I already know. So for those that are watching, or well, not watching, but listening to the podcast, if you want to reach out to Crystal, if you end up being a fan after this episode, her Instagram tag is Crystal_Marie_1987. There you go. See, I have to do my research. I have to make sure I do my research on my guests, because I don't want to mess up any of their tags and And of course, as always, for those who see me on Instagram also, if you people are interested, which I doubt, I'm on Instagram at Mike World Order. I'm on Twitter at One Mike Unit, or as ECW legend Mikey Whipwreck would say, Mikey Unit, just to be funny. And when you get a chance, check my Facebook out. Once again, that one guy I told you about posted on my page, and I'm going to have to delete it after this episode because he made it pretty awkward. And you know which guy I'm talking about. I like Mike Cook.
Yes, I knew exactly where you were going.
I like chubby men. Hi, Mike Cook. Nice body.
Oh, goodness.
I want to be hugged by you, Mike Cook.
I forgot what I had even added to that, to the one night we were talking about that.
I don't want to remember.
Yeah, I know I kind of took it far.
Yeah, I was like, no, that's okay.
You're like, that's why I got rid of it, so please stop.
Yeah. At least he was nice enough to buy a Mike World Order shirt, and I had to pay international shipping.
I told you that's what I said. He probably made it into like a body pillow that he cuddles with every night with your face.
Oh, that's a big ass body pillow. Because he let it be known, I like big chubby men. I'm not really chubby. I'm pretty solid for a big dude. Yeah, that's just Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Well,
My stomach's hurting from laughing so much.
if I ever get kidnapped, you know who did it.
You might want to share that name so that's why we know where to look.
And look, he's on Facebook. You know who to look. You know who to look. I can see it now. You can't have Mike Cook. I like him.
He's mine.
He's mine. Look at you like, help! Shit.
Oh, goodness.
This guy is, yeah, man. Like, hashtag save Mike's buns, man.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, my gosh. Well, anywho, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. This was awesome. I really appreciated it just to kind of get my story out there and actually say hi. And hopefully this isn't the last time I'm on your show. Hopefully you'll invite me back.
Oh, trust me, we're bringing you back.
Those ones we could talk about some funny topics. I do have a great sense of humor, like you mentioned. So
yeah, like most definitely, because just look, as long as you get that guy away from my buns, I'm good.
well, as long as he doesn't come chasing after mine.
Well, last I checked, you're not a chubby guy named. I like it, chubby man.
That is true. Thank God my name is Crystal and not Chris.
Yeah. Oh, like Chris from Family Guy? Like, yeah. Because if that makes you Chris from Family Guy, then that makes him Herbert the Pervert. Where you go with your paper boy?
Well, thank God, I am a girl, so you can hear my voice, but, I was like, don't give this guy any ideas.
Look, I think at this point, I think he knows what he wants in life.
You.
No, I'm not available. Not interested. I don't want it. No.
But no, this was an amazing opportunity. I actually have had a blast with this. So thank you
it's
so much.
And then hopefully we get you on the next episode.
Awesome. I'm up for it.
Me too, man. Appreciate it. Well, first off, I want to thank Crystal for being on the show and, like I said, stating, everything that's going on. Also, us shooting the shit and having a good time and whatnot. And like I said, appreciate a lot of viewers that have been listening. The quarantine sessions are still going to be going on until things become decently normal. And then we'll officially start, season 7. And like I said, first episode, we're going to have my boys, the Super Barrio Brothers, LA Stone, and I speak of SNRG music. And we're just going to keep this going and keep rolling with the punches, man. So until then, this is Mike Cook signing off, telling you guys, as always, this podcast is reborn. Goodbye and good night. Bang!